Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to make the perfect pour over coffee. This is how it's done here in San Francisco. I've had coffee like this in Berlin, in Paris, so it's a pretty popular way. I'm going to show you how you can do it at home. First I'm going to walk you through the equipment that I use. I have this Bonavita kettle. It's got an electric thermometer on it, which is really cool. And then I bought this Capresso coffee grinder, and I bought this Ozeri scale. Now, the most important ingredient is really your coffee beans. I'm using these beans from 4 Barrel, and there's a few different ways that you can actually do pour over or get the equivalent taste. I'm going to use this Clever dripper, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But basically, it is, in my opinion, it's the easiest of all of the ones. And I'll probably do a separate video on all the different techniques or different instruments you can use to get a nice pour over. The Clever is like impossible to mess up. So as long as you're using something similar, you don't have to have as nice of a kettle as this. I really like this one because it has the digital thermometer and I can set it to whatever temperature I want. The grinder is super consistent, and whenever you're doing pour over, you're going to want a super consistent ground coming out. I used to use a manual grinder, and that worked great. Eventually I just wanted to upgrade and not have to do it manually. And the other great thing about this one is you can manually set the grind coarseness, and it comes out perfectly consistent every time. So if you want to switch back and forth, because for instance, if I'm not using the Clever, if I'm using the AeroPress, I want it a little bit more fine. But like I said, I'll get into that in another video. And then the last thing you want is a scale. As I said, this one is just kind of a fancy looking digital scale. You just want something that's going to measure in grams, because otherwise you're not going to get a very consistent coffee. I've done this in offices where I've like made my own coffee or made coffee for other people, and I didn't have a scale, and it's kind of a guessing game. And by having all these variables controlled, your temperature, your grind setting, and your weight, you can ensure that it's going to be a perfect cup of coffee. What actually I'm going to show you today is used by 4 Barrel. It's a popular coffee shop, and they brew their own beans here in San Francisco. You can use other beans. I'll go into the beans in another video, I think. So first thing I'm going to do is measure out 20 grams of coffee beans. This is going to be tricky with one hand. So while I'm doing this, you can take a look at the temperature gauge I have over there. It's set to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. To be honest, I don't know if you're using Celsius what setting that's going to be, but basically in Fahrenheit you want between 195 and 205, and I just go straight for the middle. I go for 200 unless I'm in a really big hurry, and then I might just grab it as soon as it says 195. If you're not using the same type of readout, I actually got a couple too many beans there, but it's still reading 20, so I'm not going to worry with it right now. The next thing you want to be concerned with is your grind setting. You want a pretty medium grind for the Clever. I'll show you the grounds, what they look like before I dump it in, so you can get a sense if you're using a different type of grinder. Okay, this is about what you're looking for in terms of coarseness. Honestly, you're just going to have to play around with it. This is like one of the trickiest parts about doing pour over right. Once you have all this stuff measured out, finding the right grind setting is just kind of it's a little bit of a you feel it out. So if you buy the same one as me, you can use this medium number 3 setting. It's kind of goes, this one goes extra fine, fine, medium, and coarse. And I found that this gives a really good coffee. So anyway, I got my filter in the clever. The next thing that I want to do is actually heat up the clever. So I'm going to pour just a little bit of extra water into it to warm it up, and this is so that you don't lose any heat during the extraction process. The instrument that you're using, in this case the clever, is at temperature that you're going to put in the actual water. The temperature of the extraction process is actually super important. I didn't think it was that important at first. I didn't buy the digital scale or the digital temperature gauge. I just kind of would wing it. You can kind of wing it if you don't have a thermometer that you want to stick in your water by boiling your water and then waiting for about a minute to 2 for it to come down, but you never are quite sure what temperature you're doing it at, so every day it can come out different. So that's kind of a bummer, and that's part of the reason why I invested in that particular kettle. But you can get pretty close if you're just guessing. So now that I got it warm, I'll go ahead and put in my grounds. Let's see here. And then we want to tear it up so that it's at 0. And then what I typically do is I just use my iPhone as a timer. I bring up the timer. You can see it's already set at 4 minutes because I use it every day. So with the clever, you want to do 4 minutes, and this is why I say it's super easy. Once you ground your coffee, all you gotta do is pour in 300 grams of water. So I'm gonna go ahead and start my timer since I'm doing this one-handed. So I just want to put in exactly 300 grams of water, and essentially when that timer is done, the coffee's done. It's super easy. While this is steeping, and I do consider this a steep. Some people might be familiar with that term in terms of tea, but this is actually steeping the coffee, which is pretty cool, which is part of the reason why you want a little bit more coarse of a grind. Anyway, while that's going, I'm going to talk quickly about the mug that I use this Contigo mug. Only reason I bring it up is because this thing is awesome. It's like $20, and it will literally keep your coffee hot through the afternoon if you make it in the morning. And I love the thing. Our timer's going off, our coffee's done. I'm going to stop it, and all you do with the clever is it's got a nice little plunger on it that just keeps the water from coming out until you set it on your mug. The other thing that I wanted to cover lastly, just before you go, is talk a little bit about why using good coffee beans is important, or why using unground coffee beans is important. When you grind your coffee, it will actually go stale within about 5 minutes of the grinding. So that's part of the reason why you want to do it right then and there. You're going to get your freshest coffee that way. By grinding it in the moment, you're going to be able to tweak the settings for exactly what you're using, in this case the clever. You can go get coffee beans at like a Whole Foods or something and grind them there, but by the time you get them home, they're going to be stale, and you may decide later, oh, I want to use this thing versus that thing, and the grind may be different. So I know that might have seemed like a lot of work, but you can actually do a lot of these things and then go away, especially if you keep your timer in your pocket. So that's part of the reason why I love the clever. I find that in the morning it's really easy to do stuff and then come back to, or if you're at work trying to make coffee, it's really easy to kind of attend to other needs instead of having to just float over it with your kettle. Anyhow, if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'll try and answer as many as I can in the comments, and if you like this video, let me know and I'll try and do more of them. Thanks.